We have some breaking news that's now coming in months after the Air India crash. Now, a letter to the Secretary of Civil Aviation has been written over the AAIB probe. Pushkarat Sabharwal, who's the father of Captain Sumit Sabharwal, one of the pilots on that ill-fated flight, has now said that the investigation so far has been limited to a preliminary inquiry and has demanded that a thorough investigation be undertaken by the central government. He has called upon authorities to invoke Rule 12, which provides for a formal court-like investigation with independent assessors. In this letter to the central government, Sumit Sabharwal's father has also pointed out what he calls are selective leaks that have fueled false speculation about his son's mental state, tarnishing his reputation despite an unblemished 25-year flying career. Captain Sumit Sabharwal was a senior pilot on board that ill-fated Air India flight. He had over 8,000 hours of flying experience under his belt. He was in fact set to retire, and just a few days before the crash had told his father that he would be retiring to take care of him. Now his father, upset with the investigation of the AAIB so far, has demanded that a formal investigation, a full-fledged investigation, be launched by the central government and not just the preliminary investigation that has been undertaken so far. Anvit, my colleague, now joins us, getting us more details on this. Yes, Anvit.
Sumit Sabharwal's Captain Sumit Sabharwal's father, who was controlling the flight at that time, as the AIB report previously had said, he has written a letter to AIB and demanding a fair probe in this manner, and he has said that he's formally requested the central government to initiate a formal inquiry under aircraft rule number 12. He has gone on to say that alleged that the selective leaks in this entire incident and media report that have suggested that Captain Sabharwal was handling the flight and that he was under depression at the time of flight. He has refuted these allegations. He has said that the allegation that he was stressed because of his mother's demise and that had caused this incident. He says that these claims are unfounded and damaging. In fact, he's also gone on to say in this letter, and he has pointed out clearly that Captain Sabharwal's long and clear flying record of over 25 years and particularly over 15,000 flying hours, that clearly speaks of his potential and efficiency, and he has also placed certain demands in front of AIB, and he has clearly made it clear that the report in this current form is deficient and diversionary. He has used these strong words, and he has gone on to say that it allegedly offers copious clean chits to manufacturers while insinuating wrongdoings or errors on the pilot's part, because previously when the AIB reports had said, after that, media reports have suggested, not just in India but also foreign media reports have suggested that it could be the blame could come on pilots, and that it was the pilot in command, Sumit Sabharwal, who could have potentially switched the fuel switch had transition from run to cut off, and it was being said that it could be Sumit Sabharwal behind this transition, because he was at the time of flight, he was depressed and he was not in the best state of mind. Now his father has refuted all these allegations, has said that these allegations are baseless, and he demanded a detailed inquiry into this matter. In fact, this was a letter dated August 29, which he has written to the AAIB that has conducted this entire investigation, and he has demanded that he has also gone on to, in fact, most importantly, said that the leaks and public speculation over mental health, divorce, or suicidal tendencies are claimed to be distortions or misrepresentations. Now, this clearly puts up, this clearly highlights that all the media reports that previously were being floated, and in fact, the Ministry of Civil Aviation had also given a clear direction to all the media reports that they should not speculate. We have also previously seen that how Ministry of Civil Aviation had made it clear that these were only initial findings of the AIB report, and these must not be used to draw any conclusion that the fault could be of pilots in this entire AI-17 crash.
Right. Anvit, do stay on with us. Payal also joins us, and we're getting in more information as well as to how the government is looking at this letter that has been written to the Civil Aviation Ministry. But this is the letter that CNN News 18 has accessed, which has been written by Captain Sabharwal's father, demanding a full-fledged investigation. Not only does he talk about certain rules where this investigation needs to be undertaken under, he also goes on to talk about two other instances. He says that at least two other Boeing manufactured aircraft have met with fatal accidents in the recent past. past that were being operated by two airlines that he mentions there. The manufacturer had hidden certain crucial information that's related to some updated aircraft flight software. That's something that Captain Sabharwal's father is going to point out too. He says the committee initiated a thorough inquiry in those particular cases and that the aircraft software system upgrade and hiding the fact from the pilots was one of the chief contributors to the accident, which is why he also wants an investigation in this particular case, because he says that a similar situation could have happened as far as AI 171 goes, but that's something that the AAIB's preliminary report has not looked at, which is why a full-fledged probe is required, and that's the appeal that Captain Sabharwal's father is making to the Civil Aviation Ministry. In fact, we have some information trickling in via our sources as far as the Civil Aviation Ministry is concerned. What we're learning is that the government has said that they are committed to a free and fair and a holistic investigation as far as this matter goes. Payal, in fact, getting us those details. Payal, what are you learning from your sources?
You know what our sources really maintain from day one, and they continue to maintain even now, that there is no way in hell can any probe be, influenced, etc. They are going to be ensuring a free, fair, thorough probe as far as this matter is concerned, as per the international standard. And therefore, one has to understand very importantly that the ministries continue to maintain an arm's length distance from the investigating agency over here, which is AAIB, because, they would want them to do a free and fair and a thorough job as well. So we are given to understand that the AAIB chief will be meeting Civil Aviation Secretary Samir Sinha at 6 o'clock this evening in context to the letter that Sabharwal's father has written to them, casting aspersions, probably expressing doubt whether a fair treatment would be given to his late son as well, and whether or not no blame would be pinned on the pilot. The government of India maintains that they are committed to the fact that this is a very, very important issue which has come to the fore. It involves the lives of the common man, and therefore no effort will be spared to make sure that this is a free and fair probe, and they can be just assured. One understands that, when the initial investigation report came out, Poonam, it left a lot of ground for people to actually, draw conclusions from it. They just mentioned one line from the pilot saying that, did you do it? And the other pilot said, no, I did not do it as well. But that was just the investigation, which was very preliminary in that nature. There is going to be no rushing of the final report. It's going to be done as per its requisite time, is what the government of India has assured everybody, including Sabharwal's parents.
Right, Payal and Anvit, do stay on with us. I'll take our viewers through some more excerpts of this letter as well. But Air Commodore B.S. Siwach is also joining us on this broadcast. Thank you so much for speaking with us, sir, here on CNN News 18. How do you look at some of the claims that have been made by Captain Sabharwal's father? Do you think his demand for a full-fledged, thorough investigation by the centre is a valid one?
You see, the father must be very concerned about the progress from the probe. We should not discount the concern of the father, but let me assure his father as well as the countrymen that the probe will be thorough, probe will be totally fair. There is no reason for anyone to suspect the probe. The probe will not be influenced by anyone, and their experts and government or anybody else is not going to interfere in that. Whatever actually has happened will be brought out and shared. So I don't think at this stage the concern of the father, although you have to respect that, but at the same time, he should be assured that there will be no compromise on the quality of the probe, on the fairness of the probe, and absolutely justice will be done. There should be no cause of any concern or unfounded fears.
But Commodore Siwach, I want to ask you this, and if you could, explain to our viewers as well, how does this investigation in such cases end up? Like, what is the logical conclusion? There has been a preliminary probe. Will there be a thorough probe, irrespective of whether this demand was made or not? Is there a certain timeline that the AAIB works with?
The preliminary probe is already over, and a certain portion of the reports were shared. Now, normally it should not take more than 1 year to complete the probe. That is the requirement of the International Civil Aviation Organization also. But that probe should be completed within 1 year. Normally, earlier, if you remember, we did not have our own, laboratories where you could analyze the data, etc. But now we have our own laboratories. We have been able to, we can, without any problem, analyze the complete data from the black box. And the probe should be completed, I think, within 1 year. It should not exceed more than 1 year. Though definitely all the aspects and different areas of probe will be given due attention. But the fear of any, doctoring the probe or trying to, sort of covering
Sure.
up certain areas is not really sort of warranted at this stage.
Sure. Air Commodore Siwach, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. Senior Fellow with the ORF, Sushant Sareen, also joins us here on this broadcast. But Sushant, before I come to you, I just want to take our viewers through another excerpt of this particular letter that has now been written by Captain Sabharwal's father. This goes on to also talk about the preliminary report and certain parts of that report which were made public. It goes on to talk about how this report appears to have drawn certain conclusions based on external pressure. That's the allegation that Captain Sabharwal's father is making. Also goes on to say that these so-called representatives or technical experts that represent the manufacturer and General Electric, it appears that the preliminary report has given a clean chit to Boeing altogether. However, it's essential that the formal inquiry does not fall into the same pitfall and that the pilot representative is included as a member of the court. That's one of the demands that the father is making, that this inquiry, a full-fledged probe that is eventually carried out as per his demand, if that happens, then that should have a representative of the pilot, which is a nominee of the pilot body or the deceased pilot's family. Now, Sushant Sareen, there are several demands that this letter goes on to make. It also casts aspersions on the kind of bias that the AAIB in its preliminary report could have made. Do you think that's a valid concern as far as the pilot's family is concerned?
Yes, I think so, because ideally, there have been serious questions which have been raised about the aircraft itself, which haven't been addressed so far. Maybe it's for commercial and other reasons. But I think the concerns that the pilot's family has raised are perfectly valid and they need to be addressed. After all, they are, in a manner of speaking, as much of a stakeholder in this inquiry as the other people, the passengers who died. So I don't see any reason why their concerns should not be addressed just as much as anybody else's. Of course, when any inquiry takes place, it's not necessary that the results of their inquiry will be according to the liking of everybody or will satisfy everybody. But as long as the inquiry is fair and accurate and transparent, I'm willing to accept whatever comes out of it.
Sushant Sareen, thank you so much for joining us here and sharing that perspective. We will keep a track of what transpires as far as this investigation